Hey guys, this is part 2 of the last video because it was getting kind of long. So I want to briefly explain the last two sections of chapter 9-4. So the next section is called cash payments on account without purchases discount. So if you don't have a purchases discount, you just want to debit the full amounts of accounts payable and credit the full amount that you paid in cash. So here it is. Wrote a check to S&R Imports to pay on account $2,512, covering the purchases invoice number 468 with the check 706. So we use that check number. We wrote a check to S&R Imports on account. So we're paying off an account. So we know accounts payable. How much did we pay off? $2,512. Well, if we wrote a check, we know it's cash, $2,512. Again, this one has terms of net 30, so that means the full amount is due in 30 days. There might be fees if a company does not pay the full amount in 30 days. There might be fines or interest or something, some kind of requirement. Last section is called the petty cash. So we have learned about petty cash prior to this chapter in chapter 5. So this was that petty cash report. We have the custodian name. The total fund is $250. Then somebody goes through and writes in each section. Okay, advertising, we took out $124. Supplies, we took out $62.18. And miscellaneous, we took out $28.95. Let me remind you again of this process. There's probably a cash box at the front of the desk, and the petty cash clerk manages it. And so with that, people will come to the petty cash manager and say, hey, I need $50 to get stamps. Petty cash manager says, okay, here you go. Writes it down, $50 for stamps, and just walks through each transaction, writing them down. That way, at the end of the month, when they make the petty cash report, they can specifically label where money was used. So now this money can be journalized in something. And so, of course, this goes in a cash payments journal because it's petty cash. It was actually cash being used. So again, we can find the total payments. We record the amount on hand that we should have, $250 minus the $15.13. This is how much we should have, but the actual amount on hand is $35.18. We have more, so we have an over of 31 cents. So then we can replenish the petty cash here, $214.82. That's how much we need to replenish the petty cash because we end up subtracting out the over amount. If it was short, we'd add it back in. And our goal is to reach back up to the $250 that we started with. So a journal entry would be something like this. Paid cash to replenish the petty cash fund. $214 for advertising, $124 for supplies, $62 for miscellaneous, and $28.95. Oh, I'm reading that backwards. $214 to replenish the petty cash. Advertising is $124. Supplies is $62. Miscellaneous is $28.95. And cash over is the 31 cents. So, from there, you can record this transaction in the cash payments journal, which you guys have done before in a general journal. Now you just have to put it in the cash payments. So it told us that we paid cash to replenish the petty cash fund of $214.82. So we just put that cash there. That honestly would be the first thing I would do. Cash, $214.82. Well, what did we spend it on? Well, expenses. And the normal balance of an expense account is a debit. So we have advertising expense. We have store supplies. Now that's not an expense, that's an asset. Then we have miscellaneous expense, $28.95. Normal balance of an asset is a debit. Then, of course, cash short and over. We are over, so it's a credit. If we were under or short, it would be a debit. Our goal is to get this to match this. So we want to get our debits to match our credits. So if you add this up as well, you would see that this number is smaller than this. So you need to balance it out by adding another credit. So, again, it says it right here too. Cash short is a debit, cash over is a credit. You can write that down, remember that, memorize it. Cash short is a debit, cash over is a credit. The way I memorize it is that cash short is debit. It's always cash short and over, cash short and over. First word is a debit, second word is a credit. So if it's short, it's a debit. If it's over, it's a credit. And it tells us that in the problem. Cash over 31 cents. So that ends our summary of 12. Yeah, no, 9, I was right. 9-4. Tune in to the next video for the work together problem.